You start us up?
Go ahead.
All right, welcome to everybody. Exciting day, obviously, for our guys. That's how I woke up this morning, just ultra excited for all of our players. They're the reason you coach. We have a lot of guys that have been in this position. We also have a lot of guys that came to North Carolina to be in this position. So I'm so excited that we're playing here. Arizona has a great team. We're going to have to play extremely well. Our guys recovered well. After Monday night, we had the same thing basically we had to do last year after the Monday night against LSU to prepare for West Virginia. Our strength coach does a great job, our nutritionists, our training staff. So our guys are ready. I'm excited for them. I'm excited. I think we're going to have a great crowd here at Boshamer Stadium, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. But again, I just want to reiterate how excited I am for our players, because this is a group that has done everything we've asked them to do. They've represented us in a first-class manner. They've crushed it in the classroom, and they've crushed it on the field. So I'm just going to get out of their way and watch them play.
Coach, we just had Carter in here. How have you seen him make a difference in the lineup, but also set an example, like you said, in the classroom and outside off the field?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he's a really good player. So we're lucky that he ended up coming to UNC and the old school type walk-on. He's just worked his way into being an everyday player. We just felt like the strength of our pitching staff, of our team, was our pitching staff, and we couldn't give extra outs, and putting him in left field has really solidified our defense. But he's also gotten better and better offensively. He's competitive. He's not scared of any situation. Again, that's that football background that he has. But to see him put in the work, to be in that weight room, I still think he has another jump. He's still really young looking, as you guys see when you're talking to him. So I've already told him this summer what our goal is, to put on about 10 to 15 more pounds around his obviously hectic schedule academically, which is even more amazing that he's able to manage all that and do everything that he does.
Scott, what? Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks, Al. Scott, what do you think of Kane Kepley's walk-up song, The Lion King, how the fans have gotten involved in it? And if you can't answer too, just speak to his overall impact and his story as well.
Yeah, I was wondering about that walk-up song when it first started. I was like, man, that's unique. I didn't know how that was going to take, but obviously it took, and it took really well. Kane Kepley is the definition of old school baseball player. He's made himself into the player that he is. Credit to Coach Jackson for being the only coach that gave him an opportunity at Liberty. He went to Liberty's camp. Coach Jackson gave him a walk-on opportunity there. He worked his way in. Coach Jackson says he regretted not playing him right away from the get-go, and once he put him in there, he never came out. And fortunately for us, Coach Jackson decided to come back to North Carolina, and if Coach Jackson doesn't make that decision, I don't think Kane Kepley's here, because that's how loyal he is. He believes in Coach Jackson for giving him that opportunity. He really sets the tone in everything that goes on here, honestly. Even though he's new, he never takes a day off. He's already gotten so much stronger here. He lifts hard, he plays hard, takes care of his body off the field. Doesn't say a lot, he doesn't have to. But he's also learned to speak when he needs to speak, and our guys really, really respect him. And obviously he's our leadoff hitter, and he had big shoes to fill. We hadn't talked about that. I know what that feels like first year coaching when you're going behind somebody like Coach Fox, but I think it was even harder for Kane, following arguably the best college center fielder defensively to ever play, and he's filled that role, and they're from the same area and they know each other, so all that stuff's pretty cool.
How is Kane after that collision? Is he fine?
Yes, he's fine. He wouldn't tell you if he wasn't, but he's good. He thankfully was not concussed, but it just rung his bell a little bit, and they did all the tests, and he was fine, and I'm very, very thankful for that, for sure.
What did you think when you saw it happen live, the collision? Because you're talking about the concussion. I mean, that looked like he might have gotten knocked out.
Well, obviously, I didn't think. Me and Coach Jackson were on the field, which was not good, because we looked like players, and Skip was upset at that. I would have been probably upset too. We needed to let the play finish. But that tells you we were very concerned. Watching a play like that, those things don't always end that way. A lot of times, both players can be badly injured. anytime there's a blow to the head, you're concerned, and you're hoping maybe it is only a concussion. You've also seen the other player with his knee or whatever it is. So, got out there, I was just very thankful that it wasn't anything more serious. But initially, it looked really bad to me.
What about how that play ended? Because the Oklahoma guy stayed on second. The ball was rolling loose. Little bit of confusion going on out there.
Yeah, that's why I just didn't say anything and got back in the dugout.
Scott, what were the conversations with Luke coming out of the regional? Obviously, probably not the production he wanted at the plate, but what were the conversations with him coming out?
Yeah, that's a great question because we did have conversations. Luke will tell you, I just, I want to help our team win. So I just explained to him, you have helped our team win. And let's go into this super regional being you. Coach Weirs and I used Kyle Schwarber as an example. He is one of the best players. He's an all-star. He doesn't hit 350, but when he hits the ball, he does damage, and he walks a ton. And that's Luke Stevenson. And what he's gotten away from are those walks because he hadn't gotten a lot of hits. And any hitter's, guilty of it. You start thinking, I've got to get a hit. I've got to get a hit. Well, Luke, I explained to him, and Coach Weirs did a better job of explaining to him, if you walk, that's your single. Because you're just not going to hit many singles. So just get back to controlling the strike zone. If you walk and you go, 0 for 0 on the day, but you're on base 4 times and you score 4 times, you've helped us win. So really trying to control the strike zone, and when you swing at your pitch, you can do damage.
Coach, can you describe the mental makeup of Ryan in that he's excelled in both a relief role and as a starter?
Yeah, credit to Coach Gaines. I'll tell you, Coach Gaines saw him pitch this spring. Our coaches do a phenomenal job of seeing all of our incoming guys as late as we can, just to see where they are, because we're always thinking about next year's team. It's just the nature of the beast. And he thought he was going to pitch for us for sure because he had 2 pitches that he could control, and he loved the slider. The velocity, thankfully for us, was not 94 to 97. It was 91, 92, 93. Took another jump when he got here. But I get to see the work that's put in back there in that weight room. And that's the culture here. Coach Gaines believes that culture was here when he got here as a pitcher, that if you don't work and you don't learn to like that weight room, you just won't make it here because that talent starts wearing off and guys will just flat out outwork you. So Lynch, he works, his body's gotten bigger. You see how big his legs are when he's on the mound. That's why his velocity jumped, and that's why he's able to hold that velocity, and that's why he's been able to be a really good reliever and also a swingman.
Scott, I know you didn't want to, but you guys faced elimination a couple of days ago. Flying colors, you just flew right through with flying colors. How would that help you guys down the road?
We talked about that too. I said, most likely, not always. Sometimes you can just roll, right? Like some teams may make it to the College World Series and not face, quote, that elimination game. They just win, 5 games? 3 and then 2. But that's really rare. So I just explained to them, we started that in ACC tournament. That's what I like about the format. Like, let's go ahead and treat this like it's a regional. Let's go ahead and treat this like a super regional. And I remind the guys tomorrow, let's don't think about Saturday. Let's go in tomorrow like it is an elimination game. The only difference is we're not going to use Jason DeCaro. Everybody else is going to be ready, and we're going to try to win that game like it is an elimination game. But I think it will definitely help us for sure.
Obviously, Knapp, DeCaro, the first 2 games, I assume. Would you consider Lynch for a possible Game 3 start?
Yeah, I would consider Lynch. I consider Houck. I consider McDuffie. It just depends on how it goes early. McDuffie's also started a game for a reason. And I've seen closers at the University of North Carolina pretty much close most of the year and then start against LSU like Trent Thornton did in an elimination game. So that third starter, after the game Saturday is when we will make that decision, and go from there if there's a third game.
How does
What type of team is Arizona?
They're good. They're balanced. They have a superstar leading off, first-round pick. It reminds me a lot of the shortstop last year offensively from West Virginia. Very well coached. The pitchers give you a lot of different looks. They're not the same. So your approach offensively is going to be really important. They don't beat themselves very often. They don't run a ton necessarily, but they've got some guys that can hit doubles and hit home runs. So it'll be a huge challenge for us. I think they're a really good team.
Is there an added appreciation for being here, given how many upsets there've been, or top-notch seeds get knocked out?
Honestly, I don't take it for granted. when you coach a decent amount of time, every year you realize that it's really, really difficult just to win in general, much less, I don't think people realize how hard it is just to make the postseason in college sports, college baseball. Teams are good. One pitcher, that's the thing that's so unique about baseball. You know, one pitcher can just neutralize your offense in a tournament, in a heartbeat. So personally, my appreciation is I don't take it for granted. I remind our coaching staff, I thank them like, hey, like you guys have put in all this work, so now really, really enjoy it. Obviously, we know where we want to get, but the players will feel it if you're tight, so I refuse to let our staff get like that. This is why we do. We want to be in this position, but it's really hard to get to this position. It's even harder to take the next step, but if you're going to have a shot to take that next step, you just got to let your guys play.
Luke's
Scott,
impact.
You said it the other day that the pitching plan worked out about as perfectly as it could have, and sometimes plans don't come to fruition. But the way that Lynch has pitched in the postseason in Durham and here, does that give you maybe some pause for tomorrow? Like, hey, you know, let's try not to go to him so he's available for a Saturday or a Sunday. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you didn't use him the first game against Holy Cross, and it ends up playing out perfectly. Like, does that give you some pause with him specifically?
I wouldn't use the word pause. You know, in reality, they are both off 3 days rest, not 4, because we played Monday. Lynch threw the most pitches. So in a perfect world, obviously he gets another day. That doesn't mean he will.
Sure.
Because he feels really good this week, which I always tell Coach Gaines and Coach Howe, if we manage our pitching staff the right way, the guys aren't gassed at the end. You know, they can even come back. That's why Knapp felt pretty good off 2 days that he wanted us to use him that last inning if we chose to. I think you saw Tennessee use Doyle in that position. As long as you're not abusing your guys and their pitch counts are respectable and they're getting their rest, the postseason, you know, you can take a look at it. But with Lynch, you know, I don't think in a regular weekend series you hold anybody trying to win the series to go to Omaha. It can change after you win game 1. It can change if you lose game 1. But he'll be ready tomorrow. But we definitely, that's why I'm so thankful that we had a plan in the ACC tournament, and we wanted to prepare our guys for the postseason. So we're fortunate that we still won the ACC tournament. But getting Aiden Houck back out there as a reliever, we felt like for us to win a national championship, he's going to be part of that bullpen, and he pitched really well.
Yep.
The first guy he walked, all his fastball average I think was 95.3. So he's been in the bullpen before, and he can strike you out. So having him available tomorrow, the bullpen too, definitely can change some decision making possibly.
And with that decision making, do you sort of go into it saying, okay, this is going to be fluid, depending on how the game plays out?
Full what? I'm sorry.
Fluid.
Yeah. Like I mean, you got
Depending on how the game plays out.
Yeah, this time of year we know our team. So the matchups are the matchups, but you also know who your best pitchers are. You know your best guys are, and I'm going to go with our guys and their strengths over the opponent weakness.
With Luke's impact, obviously, we see what he does at the plate, but behind the dish, he's catching guys from Jake that have so much college experience to Ryan and Walker who have very little. How have you seen him just been a great foundation and a rock for this pitching staff?
I told him I told the team, I said the most impressive thing about Luke Stevenson is he doesn't carry his at-bats behind the plate. I was a catcher, and I had a really hard time with that, and I wasn't good at it. It took me probably until I was a senior, and he's only a sophomore. And that's why he's led so well. I mean, how about the play he makes with Olin Johnson when he slips and he spikes a pitch and he throws them out? He's locked in defensively. And that can be hard when you feel like, hey, like I'm not doing my part, quote, offensively. It's easy to be pressing and carry it back there, and a lot of catchers do. But he's the leader of our pitching staff. He is the definition of a workhorse, and he's another guy. Like in all reality, you know, I know he's a high draft prospect, so I'm just enjoying being around him and watching him be so professional behind the plate.
Scott, can you talk a little bit more about what Arizona does specifically well and how you guys plan on kind of attacking that?
You know, they're just a good team top to bottom. They sit back a little bit offensively. Rarely do they try to do certain things that some teams may do, but they've got some power. They can hit the ball out of the park, so you have to make your pitches. You're going to be in more shifts potentially against them, so you have to be careful being greedy, always going for the double play, because if you're in a shift, you're just trying to grab outs. And I think one of the biggest challenges is on the mound, they give you a lot of different looks. So if they make a change, the pitcher that's coming in is gonna be a lot different than the pitcher that was just in. And that's where you have to completely buy into the approach that Coach Wiersbicki and Coach Jackson are talking to you about as you're going into the box.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank y'all.